it is a choice that you make, to face it and to beat it and to best it. It is a choice, because there were such low times, when I was living with this leg that was just, I was literally just dragging it round, and it was agony, and I couldn't walk, and I wouldn't have been able to walk, and all I was looking forward to was it getting amputated anyway.
What if the truth came in a gel cap and we could just pop it in our mouths and forget about it? Well, it doesn't, and we can't. But we can laugh in the face of reality while plotting our survival. Welcome to the Truth Tastes Funny podcast. I am your host, Hirsch Redpun, and if my guests can handle the truth, so can you. Open wide, folks. Here it comes. My guest today on Truth Tastes Funny is Lyndsay Mitcheson. You know what, Lindsay? I didn't ask you how to pronounce your... Is it Mitcheson?
Mitcheson. Yeah.
Mitcheson.
Yeah,
Okay.
but with a bit of a Yorkshire accent thing going on though, Hirsch. Mitcheson.
Mitcheson.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the guest that I had on my Yes Brand podcast earlier today is a Londoner, and I ended up affecting a British accent for a good part of the interview. I did warn him that I tend to mimic, and it's, I don't mean any disrespect, and I don't make any claims about the accuracy, but
I can't wait to see you mimicking me. I can't wait.
I don't know if I could even. I don't even know if I could attempt it.
Well, you
we'll
are,
see.
you are going to try. By the end of this interview,
Okay.
you will have tried. I promise you.
All right. Well, we may not even run over that mistake. I like to. I mean, we're going to be talking about resilience in life, and the things that happen to us, and how we rebound and rebuild. So let me tell you a little bit about Lyndsay Mitcheson. Her journey is one of resilience and creativity and transformation. After losing her leg to an MRSA infection, Lyndsay set out to design a walking stick that she could really feel proud to use. And what began in her kitchen became NeoWalk. It's a bold brand of stylish, colorful acrylic walking sticks that empower people living with disabilities to embrace their mobility with confidence and pride. And at the last time we checked, NeoWalk was shipping to over 28 countries and offering a wide range of designs, sleek classics, light up sticks, redefining what mobility aids can look and feel like. And so Lyndsay has a very simple but powerful mission to make walking sticks that people actually want to use. And she's succeeding marvelously at it. She received she received the National Diversity Award in 2023 for NeoWalk, and a Woman in Business Award. And the designs have appeared on red carpets through collaborations with Hollywood stylists. Lyndsay's story is a powerful reminder that personal challenges can spark meaningful change, and that mobility aids can be more than just functional. They can be beautiful, bold, and proudly carried. And we are so excited to have you grace our stage today, Lyndsay. Welcome to Truth Tastes Funny.
Thank you. I think we could actually stop there, Hirsch. I think you've said everything. You've taken all my lines that I had written already, so we could actually just sign off now and say cheery bye.
Well, no, it's what we've done is we've paved the way for a little bit more of an in-depth conversation.
Yeah.
But let's start with we could start with how good your hair looks, and we can go from there. For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, you need to go over to YouTube right away and
basically see a woman with grey hair. That's all you're going to see. Well,
it's a great cut.
Thank you.
And But we'll talk about that. It does fit in though, because it fits in with the question of image, the
Uh-huh.
image that we project as we move through the world. And it is all about perception, if you think about it. Our
Yeah.
lives are about perception. Every decision we make is based on some perception of something or other, of a person or ourselves or a situation. And so it matters. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people want to live in a world where our differences don't matter,
Hmm.
but they do matter. It's just
Hmm.
we have to start thinking about them a little differently. What
Yeah.
to
I,
let
I
share a
think
little, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the truth starts getting a bit uncomfortable for people, because
Yeah.
I think people, they have an amount of respect for disabled people and people living with chronic illness. But when it comes down to living with us and being around us and having us in society sort of visible and around and about, I think the way they feel about us starts to make them feel a bit uncomfortable because they perceive struggle. I think that's the first thing that people see when you look at a disabled person. We're immediately labelled as someone who is struggling with life, as
Mm.
someone who is less than perhaps a victim. So we're instantly labelled. Everybody labels, whoever you look at in the street. You just touched on it there. We're all labelled with something. But I think as a person with disability, we kind of make people feel a bit uncomfortable because they don't really accept us into the mainstream world. They know they should. I'm not saying then they know they should and they know they want to, but the reality is something a little bit different, I think.
What popped into my head was, since a lot of this is our, it's our mindset, it's how we think about a certain thing, come to a certain situation. What what if anything was your experience with the disabled community or experience with people who had disabilities prior to your accident?
Hardly any, really. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. Until your life is touched either with disability yourself, or you have a family member or a loved one or a friend who it touches, you don't know what it's like to try and push a wheelchair around a town. You don't know what it's like to cross your legs because you can't find a disabled loo. You don't know what it's like, you can't. And I think that's my whole perception of it changed when I was thrown into it. And disability is a very leveling. It can happen to any one of us at any time.
Yeah.
Anybody. Doesn't matter who you are, what you've got in the bank, what colour you are, whether you went to church. It does not care. It could happen to anyone at any time. And I think that's a very scary thought as well.
Well, this is a good opportunity to maybe uh, tell the audience your story and also, what your life was like, what phase of your life, where things were at, before this changed everything.
So I was a regular stay-at-home mom. I trained to be a hairdresser. Hence
Oh,
the
there you go. Okay.
it's not an accident, trust me. So I trained to be a hairdresser. That was going to be my plan when my kids got a little bit older, sort of 11 and 12. I was going to go back out to work and do hairdressing. So I'd done all that, trained for 2 years, really loved it. And then living with arthritis from being a younger teenager, I was sent to have a knee replacement which would help me carry on walking and carry on living for 10, 15 years. And it all went kind of, can I say tits up? Because it went tits
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, you can.
And I caught a catastrophic MRSA infection during one of the surgeries, and which consequently led to me losing my left leg. And this happened over a period of about 3 years where the surgeon saved my leg, but I realised that I couldn't really live the way that I wanted to live with that leg because all it was doing was holding me back. It wasn't a
Hmm.
team player. It needed to go. it went, and I continued to live an amazing life as a woman with a prosthetic leg. So, and I carried on working. I carried on. I joined the circus. Have I told you that?
You joined the circus. No,
I
you didn't tell
joined
me
the
that.
circus. Of all the
Oh,
corny things
you
to
alluded
do.
to it when we spoke previously.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
okay.
lots of different opportunities came
That's
along
right.
as a disabled person that I hadn't banked on. I just became a yes person. After this, I felt I was lucky to be alive. I was lucky to be given this next chance that I'd been given. And I just became a yes person. So I was just saying yes to everything that came along. Do you want to be blown up by, pretend blown up by the army and pretend to be a casualty? Yes, of course I'll do that. I went and did a lot of that. Do you want to join the circus and play in the Paralympic ceremonies in London in 2012? Yeah, of course I'll do that.
Well,
You're gonna be flying around at height, they said. Is that okay? And I went, yeah, of course I'll do that. Not knowing whether I was scared of heights or not.
what,
But
so let's delve into the circus thing.
mm,
What was that?
it was the Olympic Committee in London wanted for the Paralympic opening and closing ceremonies, they wanted to use trained disabled artists.
Okay.
So they would pick, there was 40 of us, 40 people with disabilities right across the board. There was amputees, there were blind people, deaf people, paralyzed people, people with cerebral palsy, people with MS, people with all sorts of conditions. And we trained, all 40 of us, we trained for 6 months for this big gig at the Paralympics. And it was just the most amazing experience that I've ever had. I was surrounded by people who were just like me, who were, we were just trying really, really hard to do what they wanted us to do. Nobody gave up. I'm sure they chose 40 because they probably thought 10 would give in. Nobody gave up because nobody was going to give up because we were broken already. So,
Yes.
a bit of climbing and a few blisters and a bit of bleeding wasn't going to make us want to stop. So, and we did this most amazing thing in the Paralympic ceremonies, and we've become this lovely sort of tight-knit group. And yeah, I've made some really good
Yeah.
friends. I performed with Coldplay. Did I say that? Have I said that loud enough? I
No,
performed
but
with Coldplay.
yeah.
Yeah, I did the most amazing thing. And mind-blowing memories. And I would never think about this. I would never have got that opportunity had I not become the disabled person I was.
Right.
And when
Right.
you,
And
yeah, go on.
I was going to say that and had that attitude of yes, which, you know, could be interpreted as, well, why not? I'm lucky to be alive, but it's also, you know, something telling you to extract every possible
Mm,
experience from this
mm,
as opposed to denying it, ignoring it. No, I don't want to talk about it. Don't
yeah,
bother me.
yeah,
Which are all understandable reactions that someone might have. You know,
yeah. And
um,
it is a choice that you make to face it and to beat it and to best it. It is a choice because there were such low times, when I was living with this leg that was just I was literally just dragging it round, and it was agony, and I couldn't walk, and I wouldn't have been able to walk, and all I was looking forward to was it getting amputated anyway.
yeah,
So I took back the power, and I think that's the important thing to take from all of that is I just took back the power, and I chose, because all this other stuff it had happened to me. It was
hmm,
gruesome and it had happened to me. But so I took back the power and said, right, this leg's going, and I will walk with a prosthetic, and by God I did. And I
yeah.
was I was cool. I was really good until my back got knackered, and then I can't walk anymore. So
And,
thank you,
and
God.
well, but then again, you can say you look at if I always think of the Monty Python, always look on the bright side of life.
Totally.
And and it's like the things that you can do are the things that matter. The
Yeah.
things you can't do, you can't do, you know. So at what point did the Neo Walk, when did when did that, what were you doing? So you're using a prosthetic,
Mhm.
but you also used a cane.
I found that, yeah, I found that sometimes because you get very tired, you use a lot
Yeah.
of energy as an amputee. And I found that I needed a walking stick just sometimes to give me a bit of balance to help with the fatigue. Um, but oh my God, they were horrible looking. They were just every walking stick, every pharmacy, the ones that you could get online, that the ones passed down from your grandfather from
Now
60 years ago.
they have ones that don't have a parrot on the handle,
Do
but
they?
most of
Uh,
them I think do.
I never saw any of them
Without a parrot?
without a
Yeah,
parrot.
yeah, without a parrot. Yeah, because
And
I
I,
remember my one of my great aunts had a she had an umbrella and she had a like a walking stick, but
yeah, yeah,
they had the
yeah.
parrot head on the end of it. And she used to, whenever we would come home from school and she was visiting, she would poke us with the
Oh,
cane or the
God.
umbrella. We used to call her Mary Poppins,
Mary
but she
Poppins.
had this thing with the and from then on it was like my understanding of walking sticks was that they had a parrot on the handle,
Yeah,
you know,
or a bird's head, another
or a
bird's head
bird's,
of some
yeah,
kind,
something,
or a dog or
something
something. But
like that.
they
Snake,
were all didn't snake, yeah. Didn't say a lot about me. They weren't
right?
kind of connecting to me, and it was nothing. So I ended up walking around with this old wooden thing that I just used to try and hide. Yeah,
Hmm.
when so I didn't want people to see me with it. A lot of shame. There's a lot of shame associated with people feel that you're giving in, and that's not fair. That you're giving in to using a walking
Oh,
stick.
that
No,
the cane
actually,
is a well. This is a thing is that you know it's almost as though we're seeking ultimately perfection as we define it, meaning we we want, whether it's in the role models that we choose, the images that we show kids or that kids see of what a person is supposed to look and be
mm,
like, and
hmm
their glamorizations and falsifications of what human beings really are.
mm,
And so, you know, the idea of walking with a cane means, oh, that's a defect. You have
something
a
wrong with you.
yeah, there's something wrong with you
hmm
that, should be fixed or should
Yep,
be or is
yep.
just, so
Mhm.
so at this time, how long after having the leg amputated did you start thinking about creating a cane that you would like?
It wasn't that long. It was probably only about a year, in between a year and 2 years, when I discovered, because I was such an active amputee. I mean, I really used to walk from 10 in the morning till 8 at night in my prosthetic, super active. And I realized that it is tiring, and actually it can make it hurt a bit. So
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of help wouldn't go amiss here.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't too long after. But when I created this, I had the idea. Do you know what I wanted? This make you
Yeah.
cry. Make you cry. I wanted an invisible walking stick because
Oh,
I felt like I wanted to be invisible still
yeah.
at that time. It takes a long time for your head and your body to get used to what it sees in the mirror. It takes a long time. And I would have
Yeah.
preferred to have been just invisible. So I wanted this invisible walking stick, which is why I went for the material that I did. Clear acrylic. It's the
Yeah.
perfect material. So I made myself one, and I made a red one as well. And at the same time, I vividly remember in my kitchen oven at home, balancing the acrylic rod on a chair inside the oven because I only wanted the top part to be heated. and bent it round a wine bottle because that actually gave the right kind of shape that I wanted for my size of hand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
bent it round a wine bottle, cut it to length. All the advice is on the internet. You can, you know how long the walking stick needs to be. So I just sort of bumbled through, made this walking stick and found, yeah, it's great, but also found that people kept stopping me and asking me where I'd got it because
Yeah.
they thought it was great and they had a sister that would love one. They had a friend who'd love one. And the more it happened, the more I thought, oh my God, there's actually a lot of people out there that this, because it made me feel really great. I loved my sticks. And I thought I can give this to other people. And that was when the idea for the business sort of came in. But I was still flying around on trapezes at this time. So it was always going to be my kind of retirement project. So I didn't fully, this is around about 2012, 13. I didn't fully come into like full time, the 24-hour sort of time until about 2019. So been
Yeah.
doing it really full on about 6 years now. And it's grown.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. How did it uh how did it catch on? Like, did you decide that was there a demand where you felt like, okay, I have to kind of do this full time to satisfy the demand, or I have to really do this for real because there is a demand?
To begin with, the business had to just have the hours that I could give it because I was still trapezing and
Right.
being in the circus, and I was in a movie and I was doing other bits and bobs. So I always knew that once those kind of offers stopped coming in, and I knew they would, that I would need something to, occupy my time, keep this ticking, and make some money. So I always knew that I would devote my time to it full time in the end. But yeah, that was about 2019. The demand wasn't huge. The demand was there. It wasn't enough for me to employ anybody. So I was
Hmm.
making them, shipping them, replying to emails, doing my marketing, doing my socials. I was everybody. I was everything. And I didn't take on a member of staff until 2021. So
Hmm.
that goes to show you how long I stuck at it. And the staff have grown since then as well. But yeah, the demand wasn't there to begin with. But of course, with products, you can have the best product in the world. But if your marketing is rubbish, no one's going to know that it's there. No one's going to know you
Yeah.
sell it. And we found that one of the best ways of marketing our product was by word of mouth. So somebody would see a person down the road with a walking stick and they wouldn't run up, obviously, but they would walk slowly up and say, "Oh my word, I love your walking stick. Where did you get it from?" And it had this ripple effect. And we've found that has stuck with us all the way through the business. There's still this word of mouth effect where people in our community, in our disabled community, they love to go and talk to each other and they say, "Oh, where did you get that?" So the demand has grown exponentially for a short time, especially during COVID.
Hmm.
Calmed down a little bit now, but yeah, it's been really, really good.
You mentioned now your back. You have issues with your back. So what's happened with your back?
It's held together
Because
with
you smile. For those of
metal
you not
rods.
watching, Lindsay smiles when I bring it up, so it makes me feel like more comfortable about asking.
Oh,
But
it's irony. I mean, is there nothing more ironic than having your leg cut off so you can walk and then being struck down with a type of arthritis where your back's held together with rods? It's ironic. And
yeah,
the years I had walking were good years of walking. I can't do it anymore. And I'm
yeah,
just in a place where I can't. It's just a type of arthritis that is probably in the family. I thank my
yeah.
father for that. Yes, thank you, Father. Yes, wherever you may be. But I also
Yeah.
thank my mother for good genes and good skin and good hair.
Yeah.
And
Well,
she sat right in the room with me, so I had to say something like that.
oh, I see. Well, but still, it's very true. I
Yeah.
mean, again, this goes to what we talked about um, on our previous conversation about the word disabled, uh, people who are not familiar with the community or the proper, nomenclature for stuff will often not be sure how someone wishes to be referred to. So we don't want to use the word disabled because we're told to use the word differently abled, or so that's suggested to us. But you have a different your own opinion about that.
No, just call it what it is. If you want to call us disabled, then that's completely fine. What do you want to call me, an amputee, or do you want to call me what could we call, I could be a monoped.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
yeah,
a bit more sexy than an amputee,
yeah,
isn't it? Just call it what it is. I think everything's so complicated now, and it stops people talking to each other.
yeah,
Do you know?
yeah,
It stops the conversations starting. And I think that's the biggest shame that this whole fuss has brought. I think it actually stops those connections even beginning.
yeah. Do you now clearly you have a good sense of humor. Do you feel like, that's one of the things with Truth Tastes Funny is that, it does. The reality takes some dilution to go down. It's like we're dealing with real life. We're, as I often say, laughing in the face of reality, but we're accepting that the situations are real, the conditions are real, the challenges are real. And there's no rule that says we're not supposed to lean into our pain or lean into our challenges or lean into those things. It's just that I find that humor is a great equalizer and helps us kind of balance things out. I talk to myself a lot, less than I used to,
Mm.
but I think just you know, the more kids I have, the less I talk to myself because I don't have the opportunity. So I think when I hit 5 kids, I was like, okay, well, there's not
Yeah.
as much time for me to talk to myself, but still, I will reason with myself using the utmost irony,
Yeah.
as you do. Do you feel that there's not enough humor in the world? What is your take on
Yeah.
the
I love to laugh. I think it's even when I go back to sort of the darkest days, when I was first diagnosed with the MRSA infection, I was phoned by the hospital on a daily basis, checking how I was feeling and if they
hmm
needed to admit me urgently because they were waiting for a single room, like for me to go into to have my surgery. And my sister used to ring me up every day and say, "Are we swimming with dolphins yet then?" And I go, "Not today. We're feeling okay." And that was right in the thick of it. And I just remember, I mean, irony. Yeah, it's a type of humor that I love. Um, and I think we all probably live with it to different scales every day. When I just had my leg amputated, this is what I can laugh in the face of. I was out for dinner with my sister and I went into a disabled toilet and the arm that comes off the wall that you're meant
Yeah,
to lean on. Oh, I leaned on it. Bloody thing came off the wall, didn't it? It came off the wall. I came off the pot, ended up on the floor, pissed myself, and I still managed to laugh about it. And I hurt my leg to boot. It was, and you just think that but it's just perfect irony. But what else can you do? I
yeah,
can scream and bang my fists on the floor. That isn't going to help. And I just kind of float through life with that kind of attitude and just try and see the humor try not to make a huge big deal about as many things as I can, because that's damaging. You can't
Yeah.
deny that the stress that you cause yourself by focusing on the negative, you can't deny that that does you harm. So, I mean, I feel I've had enough harm for many people. So I'm not going to invite it in by, focusing on the negative sides of life. I'd rather laugh about it and just
That
move on to the next catastrophe.
right, but that's a great outlook because it's like, yeah, first of all, what you said, I totally agree with that. You know, if we discuss the negative stuff, if we, it's like when stuff happens, there's the information super highway creates such a glut of information, of regurgitation of negative stuff
Hmm.
that there it's going to where it's toxic. That's the
Yeah,
bottom line. Negativity and negative information is toxic. It's not that we need to ignore reality, but the laughter allows us to diffuse it so that we're not denying it. Like that was always my thing as a kid was if something happened, I didn't want to deny that it
yeah,
happened. I
yeah,
wanted to just accept it and do whatever we could to make light of it, maybe,
yeah,
or but not in a dismissive way, like in a whether it was storytelling or
yeah.
whether it was joking. I think I got that from my dad, who you know escaped, Nazi Germany with his parents and his siblings, but just barely. And he was just a little child at the time. But I think when you survive something like that and then you start a new life, you're like, okay, well, like I'm not going to shake that trauma. That's not going anywhere.
Mm,
So I'm going to have to have a philosophy of life that accommodates laughter and
hmm.
accommodates horror,
Yeah.
you know? So
And I
that
think
because
that's it's
they're both going to
absolutely.
exist.
Yeah, it's completely true. But what you're talking about there, about not denying something, is just it's reading the room, really,
Yeah.
which as a comedian you must have done quite a lot when
Yeah.
you see what's working and what wasn't working. But reading the room kind of tells you how you need to handle this situation. Does it call for humor? Does it call for empathy? Does it call for just a huge hug and not many words? What does it call for? If I'd come on to you tonight, Hirsch, and said, and I hadn't been smiling. You've seen me smile. If I hadn't been, and you'd have thought, she's not what she was, something's happened.
Yeah.
You might have just dug in a little bit more a bit differently to
Yeah.
before we started the interview. I think what you're talking about is reading the room, which a lot more people should learn to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice. That's great advice. So before we kind of find our way home, you know, what are some things now that you're focusing on, excited about, engaged in? One presumes that perhaps the trapeze artistry is now behind you, given your back, your
Yes,
back just
indeed.
not being up to flying through the air.
No, no, those days are gone. Those days of that boat has sailed, my friend, and I was not on it. I was left behind on the docks,
Yeah,
waiting for what other work might come along. Um, yeah, I mean, the business, big focus is the business. Keep that going, keep that growing to a point that we can still manage it comfortably in the sort of situation that we find ourselves in. I'm so lucky that I've got a workshop and office, little complex type thing at the back in my garden.
yeah,
So yeah, and I'm just so lucky because that means I can get to work extremely quickly and barely get I could go in my pajamas really and nobody would
yeah,
say anything. Very lucky to be able to do that. So I want to continue working on that. Kind of focusing a little bit on me, went through yesterday was the a year after my divorce.
Mm.
So, and it has been a couple of years from hell. So I'm kind of trying to focus on me a little bit, trying to reconnect with who I'd lost. So I am trying to look after myself, which means spending time with family, doing nice things, going out for very British afternoon tea and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, going out. I've got my mum living with me at the moment while she is in between apartments, and it's great. We're having the best time.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, we're really having a good time, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm just enjoying feeling positive. I'm enjoying feeling calm because there was a time where I was super anxious. So I'm just enjoying that feeling and letting it wash over me and just being really grateful every day, really, that I'm getting the chance to do it all and I'm here.
Yeah. People can't underestimate the power of gratitude and just that feeling that like you explained. Because there are things that will happen that our response to them will not be as debilitated or grieving or whatever it is. Something happens, and having that equilibrium going into that unexpected turn or unexpected news or whatever it is
Mm,
can make us stronger as we face that,
yeah.
and I think make those moments not feel as shattering. And that is all to say that you know we only have so much control, but we if we can master our own you know reactive system to some of
Hmm.
these things, it's just
Yeah.
good practice. It's like
Yeah.
nobody's going to have, like, I go back to the perfect thing. Nobody's going to have a perfect response to a perfect situation, to a
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
conclusion.
Exactly.
That's not a real, it's not even a real thing. You
No.
know, I
Who
did
would
have
have
someone,
written? I was thinking
what?
Trump would have written the book on that if there was, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, everything would be perfect.
Perfect
That's right.
situation, the
It's
perfect
perfect.
reaction.
That's right. It was perfect. It was like nobody's ever seen, and it
It
was the
was.
most. And that's a very much a showman's P.T. Barnum like, you
Yeah.
know, uh, device that I'm always shocked, and I think to a great extent it's an American thing that people in America will be hyperbolic about the qualities of things. And the most generous way I can describe it is that I think we lean to fantasy in the United
Mm,
States. And that goes back to how people accept or don't others who are disabled,
mm,
because we lean to an ideal of something that doesn't exist, that's not attainable, never existed, never will exist. And all the things that people, like Trump is a good example, all the things that people may want to believe are true are so clearly not true. And so the question is, well, why do they believe it? Why are
mm,
they? We think it's gullibility. It's really not. It's, I believe, a lean to fantasy. They have some fantasy that he represents to them, and they project that fantasy onto him. And for all of the failings and all of the realities, that fantasy gets projected on there because he's willing to take it.
mm.
Whereas someone else would say, no, no, you got to be reasonable here. You got to, no,
Yeah.
no, you know.
Do you think that's something that's peculiar to the US? Do you think that's something the leaning to fantasy, or is that something that you think is just an international thing?
Well, it may be global or universal is probably a better word, but
Mm,
I have found that people from other countries will sometimes, maybe it's perspective more than it is geographical. In other words, someone from another country looking at America may see something that someone in America doesn't see. So that perspective might be possibly there.
Yeah. And likewise, someone looking at the UK will see something that perhaps we don't see.
Yeah.
That's maybe a gift that we have looking into each other's countries.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, if we could share welcome the perspective of one another and
mm,
share the findings,
mm.
then we would be better off
But then
rather
we'd
than
have
trying
to,
to defend our own, you know.
yeah, we'd have to believe the findings to be able to defend them. And I think that's where the battle would really crumble, wouldn't it? Because you'd be arguing with someone saying that your country's, at point one, two, three, and yeah, they would just say, no, we're not. We're nothing like that. And that's probably fair enough. I don't know. I mean, you're led by a really strong, like him or not, he's a very strong leader. We have quite the opposite in the UK.
Yeah.
Our leadership is actually quite weak. So we we like to believe the worst of our politicians over here, whereas I think over in the US, you very much like to believe the best.
Yeah. People love a good scandal. They love stories or whatever. And I would contend that Donald Trump is not a strong leader. I would say he is a strong personality
Strong, yeah.
and a very persuasive personality, but is not a leader because in order to lead, you have to understand the needs of the country or organization or
Mm,
whatever. There has to be something beyond you
yeah.
in
No,
order for you to
leader.
lead.
Yeah, leader was the wrong word. It
Yeah.
was it was
But
personality.
but personality. But
Yeah,
yes.
he's
But
definitely got
yeah.
one of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Um
Oh, Hirsch, you should just come
um
over and visit the UK and
I will.
come up to Yorkshire and learn some Yorkshire.
Yes.
We live in a beautiful part of the world up here.
So Yorkshire sounds to me.
You've just gone very Cockney, sir.
Yeah,
What?
I know. Cockney's easiest.
Yorkshire? Oh, can you go
How do you say it?
So push your tongue forward behind your back teeth and go oh.
Oh,
Yorkshire, that's it. You got it.
Yorkshire.
He got it. Oh, I'm so proud.
Thank you. Well, see, we did it.
We did it.
That was the one thing we needed to do was to make sure that I at least attempted a Yorkshire
That's it. Now carry
story.
it forward into life, my son, and you spread the word.
I will. I will. Well, Lindsay, this was a remarkable conversation. Thank you so much
I've
again.
been I've enjoyed it so much, Hirsch, really have.
Thanks so much for tuning into Truth Tastes Funny. If you enjoyed the experience, please leave a 5-star review and share this podcast with your friends.